Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. We appreciate it. Here we are together again on the radio. Many times on our program we have talked about unwanted children. And lest you get the wrong idea about me, I love kids. I care about how kids are treated, what happens to them. I admire people who are good parents, especially fathers, because a lot of guys don't get to be dads to their kids because of divorce or custody battles or women kidnapping their children, or just because men have to work all the time to pay for all the things that women spend money on. They don't get to be around their kids the way my dad was not around me most of the time. So I respect people who are good at it, and I care about what happens to kids. That's my feeling. Many people get the idea that because I haven't had kids, I don't care about kids or hate them, don't like them. But that's not true. I really do care about children. I want the best for them. But on this program, many times we talk about unwanted children. And it's not because I hate children. It's because if you don't want to have a child, you should do that child that hasn't been created and the world a favor and not have it. And for those of you who are new to this show or who haven't paid attention when I've said this, let me make this really clear. The reason I haven't had kids is not because I can't. It's not because I hate them. The reason I have not had kids is because I realized at an early age that in order to be successful, I would have to have the freedom to travel at will, to move from city to city, to be able to drop everything and fly to New York to make a TV appearance, or drop everything and fly to, who knows, the Virgin Islands, talk about Jose Cuervo, or whatever. Without having to worry about babysitters or feeling guilty, without someone having to sit home and have an email relationship with me. It just wouldn't be fair. I chose to have a career. I chose to become successful at something. I've done that, and I'm continuing to do that. And that's why I have not had children. And it would not be fair of me to produce children and then be on the road all the time or moving all the time. It just wouldn't be. So I haven't done it. And that's why unwanted children should not be brought into the world. You know, as a kid, you know when you're unwanted. I don't care what parents do to try to cover up for the fact that they feel like they made a mistake. They feel like their lives are over. Kids know. Kids are smart. And they're a lot smarter than we think they are. I have seen heartbreaking situations with kids who are products of divorce. Many of them are now adults and listening to this show, but I have seen some really horrible situations like that. But then there's the other side of the coin, and when we're talking about unwanted children, we mean it literally. We have people who don't want to be around their kids, and the women who chase them. And that's what I'd like to talk about in this segment of the program. You know, a woman can lie, and we talk about this all the time, can lie and say, I'm on the pill, doctor tells me I can't get pregnant. Women can lie and say, oh no, if I get pregnant, I'll have an abortion. But then later on, it doesn't matter what she says, doesn't matter what representations or false claims she makes. Down the line, she can go ahead and do whatever she wants. Many times when a woman wants to hold a man in a relationship or wants to hold a man financially, she will go ahead and have a kid. Sometimes she gets pregnant by accident and tells the guy, and he's like, whoa, no. Sometimes guys just simply leave. They can't handle the responsibility. They don't want the responsibility. Whatever. And I know that there are women listening to me right now, who have the child or children of some guy out there. And that guy has seen his kid once, never. Maybe he saw his kid the first few months or the first year or two, and then he split. And there's a lot of guys out there who've gotten that phone call from the ex-girlfriend, the ex-one-night stand, the ex-wife. Why don't you ever call your kid? Where were you on your kid's birthday? Why don't you come home and see your children? And sometimes it's a situation where both parties agreed, let's have a child, and then the guy wigged. Other times, it's because a woman said she didn't want to have a baby, but then she went ahead and had one anyway. I have said on the air, and I'll repeat here, that I have always been very clear about my desire to not have children. And if anybody did that to me, don't expect an Oprah moment. Don't come knocking at my door and expect me to be thrilled to be reunited with my child. I don't want to have a child. I don't want my life to change. Don't call me. Don't come after me, because it's not going to happen. I've said that. So I could potentially be one of these guys. Certainly, if there were a child out there, I could be one of the guys who would get the calls and would just say, look, stop calling me. Don't come to my house. I could be one of those guys. By the same token, having been a kid whose dad was not around a lot of the time, not because we were divorced or anything, but because he was working as many as 3 jobs in any given week, I know what it's like to not have your dad around. I know. I've been on both sides of the fence. In this hour of the program, I want to talk to the women who nag the fathers of their children. You know, and you know who you are. You're calling them at work, calling them at home, calling his cell phone, sending him a letter, having the kid write to him. One of the times I dated a single mother, something I would never do again, and I've told you boys not to do it. One of the times I dated a single mother, her son came to me when we were alone once in a room, and he asked me if I would take a bath with him. He was 5. And I asked him why would he want me to take a bath with him? And he said that his father used to do that when he was little. Now, that's a sad story. This kid wanted to have his dad, dad, somebody. So I've seen this. I've seen how it affects people, and I myself, although my mother was not divorced from my father, I myself rarely saw my dad growing up. So I'm wondering, if you have a kid with some guy who has flown the coop, he's gone, or he was a one-nighter, or you had to track him down, you call him, maybe he lived with you and the kid at one time, maybe he never did. I want you to call me and tell me what that's like. Calling this guy on the phone, he doesn't want to get involved. I want to hear the story.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-866.
What would you say to a man that did have a female friend?
I'd say you're a pussy.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Thank you for tuning in. All right. I want to talk to women who have children with some guy who is among the missing. You call him, you write him, you beg him, you nag him, and you just can't get him to budge. Laura, on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
How are you?
Do you care, darling?
Yes, I do.
I'm doing great.
Good. Yes, I'm in that situation. I have an 8-year-old son, and I dated his father for approximately a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, when I became pregnant, he said, you know, he wasn't ready to be a father, this and that, and he knew all along, you know, of course, that I wasn't on any birth control, and, you know, he wasn't taking precautions himself, and, you know, it was stupid on both of our parts, yeah, I admit it, But it happened, and of course he wanted me to, have an abortion. And
you wanted to have a baby because that's why you were having sex without birth control.
Well, no, I didn't want to have a baby. It's just something stupid that people do that...
They do it once or twice. They don't do it all the time unless they want... I believe that men just want to feel good, and women, if they're not using birth control for an extended period of time, they want to have a baby.
Okay. You have the right to your opinion, but no, I
don't agree.
Have a baby. No, I didn't want to have a baby, but...
How do you do a stupid thing like that for years? I don't understand.
It just happened.
No.
That's all I gotta say.
No, it didn't. But anyway, go ahead.
But anyway, so he wanted me to have an abortion, and I thought about it, and something told me, I already had another child from a previous marriage, so something told me, you know what? No, I'm not going to have the abortion. I'm going to have the baby. Well, of course, he wasn't very happy about it, so he told me he wasn't going to be in my life. And I said, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to do this on my own. Well, I had the baby. He wasn't around for 2 years. He came around when the baby was 3 years old, came around for a week, saw him, said, oh, I want to be a part of the baby's life, this and that. Well, then he disappeared again. Didn't hear from him for years. And all along, of course, I had to do what I had to do. He did what he had to do, so I had to do what I had to do, and I went to the district attorney's office, filed a case against him. They found him. He never paid, and so the money was adding up, and I gave him his choice. I called him and I said, look, we could do it this way, the easy way. I'm not asking for hundreds of dollars from you a month. All I'm asking you is if you just give me some help with the baby. Well, he didn't accept that, and he didn't want to do that. So a few more years goes by, and they finally caught up with him, the district attorney's office. So I get a call out of the blue last year. He's 7 years old, and he says, I need to talk to you. I said, okay, let's talk. He said, I need you to drop this case because, I'm never going to pay back their arrearages. I'm never going to get caught up. And I said, well, I'm not going to do that. And so now he did. He saw him, a few months ago. He spent a week with him and so forth, and he's accepting now that he has to pay. But, I had to go 7 years without seeing anything. And my point is that, I gave him the chance. I didn't want to, be like some of these women out there and just get all kinds of money from him. I just wanted him to do what I felt was his responsibility.
So he didn't want to get involved because he didn't want to pay? Is that why he didn't want to get involved?
He didn't want the baby in the beginning.
Right, no, but once the baby was a reality, the reason he didn't want to see the kid was because he didn't want to pay?
He didn't want to pay, and he wasn't ready to be a father.
So he's ready now?
So now he's ready.
I see.
So I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand it. I hear how you talk about women sometimes, how foolish they could be, but, this is a proven case right here, how stupid sometimes men could be,
Well, I've certainly talked to men who are stupid all the time, and I certainly tell them so. But part of the reason that I get upset is because the deck is stacked in favor of women. Mm-hmm. That a woman, of course, gets to decide whether that child is born and gets to decide whether she's going to take a big chunk out of your wallet every month. Mm-hmm. The man does not have any choice in this matter. And so I keep telling idiots to wear condoms. But the one thing I disagree with you about is that you didn't use birth control just because you're being stupid. I do believe, whether you can admit this to yourself or not, that just like many women don't want to be perceived as sluts, so they say, well, I had a drink, and one thing led to another, and my God, I had no idea. Suddenly he was inside me. I couldn't believe it. I think it's the same thing with having kids. Women who don't use birth control will always say, oh, no, I didn't want to have kids. It's one of those things that happen. But I don't believe that. I believe that if you go a significant period of time without using it, not one night when you forgot to go to the drugstore, I mean for months or years, it's because you'd like to have a happy accident.
Okay.
I just believe that.
Oh, I wasn't thinking along that line.
Come on. You'd heard of birth control. I'll bet you'd used it before.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, why did you stop?
I just stopped. I mean,
you didn't just stop. You just stopped, maybe subconsciously.
We were using other methods, and
Those methods don't work, and come on, you're smart enough. Are you that dumb to believe the pull-out method works?
Oh, I'm not. No, I'm not dumb at all.
All right, so you knew that didn't work, but you did that anyway, so you could say, we did everything we could to stop it, but whoops, I got pregnant. Come on.
I understand.
Just admit you wanted to have a kid and be done with it.
No, I didn't want to have a kid. I really didn't.
You already had a kid. You know how birth works. Come on, you know birth control and the birth process and the pregnancy process. How long did you go without using birth control?
I'm sorry, would you say?
How many years did you go without using birth control?
Probably for about, I'd say about 5 years.
5 years?
I was with him for a year and a half.
I forgot to go to the drugstore for those 5 years. Come on. I didn't get into the gynecologist. Come on.
No, it's not like
Come
that.
on.
I really didn't want to get pregnant, and...
You didn't want to get pregnant?
No.
Come on.
I didn't want to get pregnant.
But you did nothing to stop it. Nothing.
No, I didn't do anything to stop it, but, you know, I thought this conversation was about men trying to...
Well, this is certainly part of it. I mean, you see, here's the deal. And I'm not saying that your guy was a great guy. I'm not defending him. I don't know what his deal is, all right, because he should have been using a condom, okay? But
right.
Part of this is also, you know, he didn't want to be a father, and you didn't want anything to stop him being a father.
No, the point is no, I did not want to be a mother again, and he didn't want to be a father again, but it happened, and... yeah, it's my choice whether I want to have this child or not, and I chose that I didn't want to go and have an abortion and live with that the rest of my life, so I chose to step up to the plate.
But stopping the pregnancy was of no concern to you?
Stopping the pregnancy, I did think about it for a while, and
Well, as you know, and I've said on this show many times, thinking about doing something is very different from doing something.
Right.
Those are two completely different things.
I chose not to do it because I chose that I didn't want to live with the consequences, and I didn't know how this was going to affect me later on in life.
Oh, hang on a second. Blaine, what did you want to say to Laura?
Dude, I am so sick and tired of listening to this chick talk right now. I cannot believe how ridiculous she sounds. She's sitting there talking about this guy. All this guy has ever done for her is when you know they go to bed together. All of a sudden now they accidentally have a kid, and you know he says he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. Well, now she decides that she has all the power. She has the kid, and you know, here's 7 years later, they can't, you know, she can't get any money. She hasn't seen anything from him. It's ridiculous. He told her he didn't want to have the kid. Why do these women think they can do that? And they have all the control. They go to the district attorney and they get their money. They get their paycheck. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Because they have all the control. That's why they think they have all the control. It's because they do have all the control. All right, it's toll-free here. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. Are you chasing down a guy and asking him to act like the father of your kid?
The Tom Leykis Show. This is the Tom Leykis Show.
One 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Darlene on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Tom, what's your problem?
What do you mean, what's my problem?
I mean, what's with the woman bashing?
Give me a specific example.
Okay, I want to know why it's not a dude's responsibility. Why is it always a woman's responsibility?
It isn't always. It isn't always. All I'm saying is that when a child is born, it's because a woman decided it would be born. And no other reason.
Oh, I see.
That's the reason.
That's the reason.
That is the reason.
You off?
It's not a matter that it ticks me off. It's that guys should be aware of it, A. And B, yes, I've done everything I can to make sure that it's clear that I do not want to become a parent. I don't want anyone having a baby to keep me in a relationship. I don't want anyone having a baby so they can continue to get an annuity from me for the rest of their lives. And I want the other guys to know this, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it's not all about money either, Tom.
It is for men.
Well, you know what? That's their problem.
Yeah, it's not all about money. That's easy to say when you're taking a man's money. Oh, it's not all about money.
What about a guy that doesn't have any money? What are you taking away from him then?
I don't know. You probably take everything he has or whatever he has. And by the way, why'd you date a loser?
Why did I date a loser?
Yeah, why'd you date a loser?
I don't know. That was the only thing that was around at the time.
There we go.
Honestly,
that tells us about you.
That's honest. No, it does not.
There wasn't anything else around at the time for you.
No. Well, okay, fine, but I got smart, okay? I didn't need him for anything, okay?
Yeah, except sperm.
Well, okay. But you know what? Let me tell you. It's his responsibility as well, whether you know...
What is his responsibility? If he doesn't have a job or he doesn't have any money, what's his responsibility?
Okay, why is it okay for a dude...
Why would you expect a complete loser to be a responsible person?
Well, there's always hope at the end of the
No, there isn't. A loser is a loser and will always be a loser.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't agree.
Yes. Well, that's because you're a woman, and most women believe, most women like to buy fixer-uppers, and they like diamonds in the rough and guys they can mold, and guess what? There's no such guys.
Oh.
That's why makeover shows are so popular with women. Extreme makeover, Queer Eye for the straight guy. It's because it plays to the woman's fantasy that you take a guy who's a schlub or a jerk or an a-hole and you're going to fix him up. You're going to doll him up somehow. You're going to make him change. And you can't make a man change. Not in the real world, you can't. So if you decide to have sex with a loser, guess what? He's going to be a deadbeat.
Well, maybe you don't have kids, Tom.
I don't have kids because I'm responsible.
You're responsible.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. But,
And you slept with a loser, and then you don't understand why he's a loser.
Well, you know what? That was then. This is now.
No, that was always, dear. He was a loser then, he was a loser after you had a baby, and he's a loser today, and he was always going to be a loser. And there's nothing magical about your vagina that was going to make him not be a loser anymore.
Okay, that's fine. We get the picture on that.
Yeah.
But what about you? What about you?
What about me?
I mean, so you're just going to be selfish and you're not going to have kids?
I'm not selfish. I think I was doing it as a very generous gesture. By not having a child, I have avoided being in a situation where a child has to sit home while I'm in Seattle or Dallas or Washington, D.C. or New York doing my work. A child who doesn't have to change schools every couple of years because I've had to work in Miami, Boston, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Albany, and all around the country.
Well,
you know what? I thought ahead. And unlike some of the selfish a-holes who have children and then have no time to take care of them, I thought ahead and realized I wasn't going to have the time to do that and have a career.
Well,
I'm not selfish. I'm generous.
Well, yes, you are, Tom.
You are selfish. You had unprotected sex with a loser and had his baby, and you sit there trying to figure out why he won't be a father. You're a nut.
Okay, so you're saying that every time that you've had sex, you've been protected?
Just about. And by the way, those rare times when I didn't, darling, the rare times when I didn't, I was with someone who I knew would have an abortion if she got pregnant.
Oh, what did you do? Have her fill out a questionnaire?
Didn't have to. I knew her.
Well, so what? But you could have done the
Dear, I paid for 4 abortions, so obviously I knew what I was doing.
You're so generous, Tom.
I am. I not only paid, I went to the abortion clinic and then bought her an Egg McMuffin afterwards.
Oh, you're a sick puppy, Tom.
I'm not a sick puppy. Guess what? There's no unwanted kids out there that I know of waiting to hear from me on their birthday, on Christmas. It isn't happening.
Okay.
Like your kid is.
Oh, geez. Well, my kids are grown and moved away now.
Well, that's what your kid had to go through. Both your kids or just one?
Hey, man, I did it on my own.
You had to do it on your own. You had no choice because you were with a loser.
Oh, God, Tom.
You picked a loser, and you want to take no responsibility for it at all.
Fine, Tom.
Yeah, you're having a hard time dealing with reality, aren't you? That you had unprotected sex with a loser. You had a loser's baby, and then you thought the loser would suddenly become a winner.
All right, Tom, you're so right.
Sex with you cannot be that good. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Oh, my God, you're awful, man.
I'm just being honest.
No, let me tell you, sex is actually good with me.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, please. Why, because I slept with a loser?
You slept with a clearly, if you were that great, you would not be with a loser. And you said that was all that was around at the time. Now, there's plenty of available, rich, desirable guys out there who keep their responsibilities and their promises. If all you had available to you was a loser, that tells me more about you than about men.
Okay, well, maybe I didn't word it wrong. Or maybe, I worded it wrong. Well, how do you know that they're a loser until you're with them?
Please, dear. It's very easy to figure out who the losers are. Yes, because you know why? They're losers right in the beginning. But all their loser ways and their loser activities look cute to women in the beginning. Because you think you're going to fix them up, like on this old house, like you're going to be Bob Vila. You're going to take out a drill and a buzzsaw and you're going to fix it.
Well, you can't fix everything.
Yeah, well, guess what, though? Back then you thought you could. And guess what?
Well,
guess what? You couldn't.
Tom. 1-800-5800-TOM. Tom. The Tom Leykis Show. Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number.
It's Margaret on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hello?
Is that a question or a statement?
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay.
I just wanted to say about the whole thing with, like, women having all the power as far as having children. It's true that women do have all the power, but if a man doesn't want to have a child, why doesn't he wear a condom or force his girlfriend to be on birth control? And if
First of all, you cannot force anyone to be on birth control.
I mean, but if she won't do it, then why be with her? Why have sex with her when you know that if she...
Well, the bottom line is I don't think you ever know if a woman is on birth control. Unless you see her and put the diaphragm in. You don't know.
Well, you ask. I mean...
you can ask, but it doesn't tell you anything. Women lie about this kind of thing all the time. I tell men... always wear a condom.
Yeah.
100% of the time, because women lie because they want to keep you in a relationship or they want to keep getting paid by you.
That is true. Women do lie about being on birth control sometimes, but those are kind of crazy women, and I would think you would know.
No, yeah, but the thing is, you say they're kind of crazy, that kind of marginalizes them. I think it's the mainstream. There's a lot of women lying about this.
The mainstream? I've known one...
Lots and lots of women lie about this, especially when they get to be around 30, 32 years old.
Okay, well, I got another 10 years to go for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of women lying about this. Their biological time clocks are ticking. They haven't had a good relationship in a while.
Yeah.
They're trying to hold on to a guy, whatever. And they're doing this, and they're doing it more and more and more.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's just one of those things that a lot of the people that call in and say, you know, well, I got pregnant, and the father, like the female that just called a little while ago, and it's just kind of like, you know, she said she wasn't on birth control, he wasn't wearing condoms, and it just happened, and, you know, whatever.
Why would you expect, if the guy was a loser, why would you expect him to suddenly be a responsible individual?
Well, that's true, but...
He was irresponsible. Just the fact that he didn't wear a condom told you what a loser he was.
That is true.
Why would you expect that man to suddenly become responsible? It's the figment of a woman's imagination to think that guy will suddenly be an upstanding individual.
That's true, but then they
So stop complaining about it. You had sex with a manifestly irresponsible person, then you're going to be with somebody who is an irresponsible loser the rest of his life.
Well, I mean, but then they can't turn around and then blame the female for everything.
We didn't talk to the guy at all. She was blaming him for being a loser.
That's true.
We didn't even talk to him. I don't know what his story is.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know, but...
Why are these women calling here and calling their exes losers?
Well,
I mean, always remember, when you're with a deadbeat or a loser, who picked him?
Yeah, no, that is definitely...
Who said, stick it in me, baby? Who said that?
Well, I mean, it's just that guy came down right afterwards and he was yelling at her and saying, I'm so sick of all the women having power.
Yeah, well, you know, again, there's nothing much you can do about that.
Well,
the right to choose means that literally.
Yeah, but if this guy is calling up saying, you know, I'm so sick of all women having all the power, and I'm
he is sick of it.
You know, yeah, it is.
Nothing's ever going to change, but he's sick of it.
If you're so sick of it, you got to do something about it yourself.
Who knows that he doesn't? He could very well be using condoms.
Yeah, exactly. So he shouldn't be complaining. I mean, yeah, women have...
No, he's complaining because women have power in a number of areas. For example, the woman has the right to hide a man's child for 17 years and then say, you owe me 17 years of back child support.
Yeah, that's pretty awful. But
well, yeah, but it's legal.
Yeah.
A woman, if all she has to do is successfully lie to a man for either a year or 2 years, depending on the state.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, honey, you're the father. And then if he doesn't challenge it or get a DNA test within 2 years, that's it. He's on the hook, even if later he finds out she was lying.
Yeah.
That's the kind of power we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And men do get sick of it. You're not in that position. You'll never, ever get a phone call from somebody you barely knew or somebody you met 4 years ago who's going to tell you have some responsibility you didn't know about.
But
you don't know what it's like to be a man.
I know, but I'll also never be the one calling as well.
Oh, well, that's wonderful, dear. But you know what? I think there are more women who do than don't.
Oh, I know. That's why I listen to your show, though, just because I like everything that you say and everything.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, I mean, the crazy women that you talk about, I know I'm not one of them, so it's all kind of interesting to me.
Right, but don't kid yourself into believing that most women are like you. I think there's a lot of women who are not like you.
Oh, well, I guess it's just all of my friends. I surround myself with people.
Well, that's what do I always say on this show? You tend to know people who are like you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a couple, though, out there.
I don't hang out with losers. I don't hang out with people who don't have jobs. I don't hang out, you know. The people I know, they have jobs. Mm-hmm. They're responsible, like me.
Yeah.
But I also know there's a lot of irresponsible losers out there.
Yeah.
Just because I don't pal around with them doesn't mean they're not there.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Tom Leykis.
Come on.
1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
Being a man, having an orgasm is like taking a whiz. And for women, I think having a kid is like taking a dump. Okay, now let's just face facts. This is basic human desire, need, feelings, biology, all that.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Thank you for tuning in. Cindy on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, I tell you that I totally agree with you. Everything you say, women are very selfish. They should think about the child.
All right, we're going to try to get a better connection because we can't hear you. It's Joyce on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I wanted to say for the women that have all the power, good for them, because I didn't get so lucky. And the men that don't think they have any power, they have more than they think.
How so?
Well, I had 3 children. I was married for 12 years. My husband left and didn't pay any child support for 10 years. I had him relinquish his rights after 10 years and $100,000 piled up. Dumped the $100,000, and my 16-year-old still wanted to go live with his dad, and now I pay him child support.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta love that story. And I know it's not the norm.
No, it's not.
And yes, you know, he was responsible, I was responsible. These were planned children. So, but when you say men don't have any power, they do, because, you know, I would have never had babies with him if it wasn't a mutual decision. And he, you know, you have the power to wear a condom, and babies, once they're born, believe me, as they turn to be children, need their dads.
Condoms, though, at best, are a backup system.
Basically, yeah.
Because they slip, they leak, they crack. Women put pinholes in them. I mean, they're a backup system.
You have a better chance of not having a baby.
You have a better chance, but they're not foolproof, and they're the least foolproof of all the birth control methods.
Correct, but most children that are conceived and aren't planned are not because of the condom. Most of them are just because of carelessness. And
I don't really know the statistics on that. I don't really know if that's true.
Well, I would assume. Just from
okay, you're assuming, and I'm not going to assume. I really don't know the answer. That's an important question. I really don't know the answer.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, that men have more power than they care to admit, especially, you know, and the obligation is not only financial, it's social and moral obligation.
No, you don't have any other obligation. There's a legal obligation, and that's it.
Well, you know, unless, if you don't have any morals or...
It has nothing to do with being immoral. If a man says, I don't want to be a father, and a woman says, tough luck, you're a father, that man is not responsible for doing anything except paying.
Okay. And I wish I knew statistics, Tom, because I think you would like to know that there are plenty of planned children that the men say F off, and I'm not...
Now, I don't have numbers, but I know that's true. There are men like that. There are men who... this sounds great on paper, like so many things that we do in life. Sounds like a great idea, then you do it, and you don't get any sleep for 2 years, and the kid is crying all the time and demanding, and suddenly you've got no money left, and there's a lot of guys just crack.
And then they just beat it, and then it's the woman's responsibility. And the men, for 10 years, this man didn't pay child support, nor did he go to jail. You know, he worked doing construction and was receiving cash or moving from job to job to avoid being garnished or whatever. Moved from state to state so that the DA couldn't catch up with them. So, you know. And
let me look back here for a second. Who picked this guy as a husband?
I did.
You did, yes.
Yes, and I know you want to call him a loser, but, you know, captain of the wrestling team, full ride scholarship, graduated top of his class, everything was going for him, and I don't know if it was midlife crisis or what. Didn't leave me for another girl.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the construction business, but come on.
Yeah.
That's not something a college graduate is doing.
I know. And I don't know what his psychological issue is that he just took a dump, you know, at 39 years old, but he did.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So, I mean, it happens, and I'm sure that's another thing that's not as common as, like you say, girls that hook up with losers and then expect them to pay child support or become a responsible father afterwards. But I'm sure that there are those cases, too. But, you know, in the end, it's, you know, probably more common what you're griping about right now that women are getting knocked up on purpose and suing for child support and bitching and moaning about things that they created. But I have to believe too that men aren't taking the reins as much as possible.
Oh, they should certainly be wearing a condom every single time, because women can be liars. Thanks a lot for the call.
The Tom Leykis Show.